Manna, and I know that everybody is all the more excited as we draw closer to Thanksgiving morning, and just thankful to God for the opportunity granted to us that we might have this privilege to join together in study of God's holy and righteous word. The text that we're working out of today is verses 16, 17, 18, and 19. And so I want you to listen attentively to the word of the Lord. It says, "Who were they who heard and rebelled?" Raises a question. Were they not all those Moses led out of Egypt? And with whom was he angry for 40 years? That's question number 2. It's rhetorical. Was it not with those who sinned, whose bodies fell in the desert? And to whom did God swear that they would never enter his rest, if not to those who disobeyed? So we see that they were not able to enter because of their unbelief. Here again, it is really, when I tell you meticulous writing is going on, I'm talking about well thought through writing is occurring in this book of Hebrews. To hear the conversation now being, you need not to be like them. In essence, what made them rebellious? What is it that made them consider to be, what made God angry with them? And what made them become disobedient? What forced them to walk around in the desert? The answer, he says, in all of that is unbelief. They could not believe, they did not put confidence in God. When all of Genesis, all of what we read throughout Genesis, and even the very beginning of Exodus, and what you see is, even the Old Testament, is an understanding of God's existence. The Bible in and of itself does not open as if it does not know who God is. It opens, in the beginning, God. I mean, God is a very central figure of all that we hear about in this holy history, in humanity's review and reflection of how God has been involved in their lives, whether the inception of the race, the development of the people, the deliverance of the people. God has played a role, and God, Yahweh, has been involved in their existence. And so the Hebrew writer is approaching it from that perspective, that just as the critical time for the children of Israel when they denied God, and that rebellion really took place, as we've studied inside of Numbers chapter number 13, when there was this real major moment of divide and division, 13 going into 14. And this is really the critical point of their lives, when God has said to Moses, behold, I'm giving you this land, send some spies out to go investigate it, let them bring back word regarding it. And that is the pivotal time for them. And they found themselves being divided in the report, and the people found themselves being rebellious and not willing to go to receive the gift that God was willing to give. And the more and more I studied that, the more painful that text has become to me, and it's gotten me to that place where I understood Moses may have possibly dropped the ball, because the text does not say that Moses basically told them what God had said to him. Rather, Moses gives them an assignment without the message that God had given. And thus the people go out thinking that they've got to seize this land under their own strength, when clearly it wasn't their strength, it was God's. And God was giving them a gift, and if they're all willing to come down to gifts, all you do is stick your empty hand out and receive it and say, thank you. But they found themselves becoming rebellious because they had a lack of belief, which puts the pressure and the responsibility for you to have confidence in God on those of us who are in my profession. That we've got to be serious about your faith building and your faith development, and that you have to hear over and over and over again to have faith in God, to trust in God, to not doubt God, And for us to be able to bear our own testimonies of how God experiences, of how God has worked in our lives, and how God has sustained and kept us, and how God has blessed us along the way. There are times of which we almost let go. There are times in which we almost went crazy. But God basically has sustained and kept all of us. And since God has been faithful to us, I can truthfully tell you God will be faithful to you. And all you have to have is confidence in the God who has given to us his Son. That's all that's necessary. A confidence that the work that Jesus has performed through his life, and by giving his life in death on the cross of Calvary, has now become the payment for your sins, and thus you have been brought into right relations with God, and therefore God the Father has therefore looked out for you. That's ultimately what the Hebrew writer is trying to say at this point, trying to convince us to see, sense, and feel Jesus is real, so that we won't rebel. Same people that got blessed coming out of Egypt are the same people who rebel. Same people that God got angry with, same people who sinned, whose bodies were left in the desert. The same people that God swore would never enter into his rest were the people who were disobedient. Why were they disobedient? They were disobedient because they did not have confidence in God. Belief. When you don't believe in God, you might do stuff that makes no sense. But when you believe in the existence of God, it will change your context, change your behavior, change your actions, change your life. And we're running into generations of people who are coming after us who have no confidence in belief in God, in the existence thereof, denying not only his power, but denying the existence of God. And I still say God's real. Yeah, I'm 57, but God's still real. God's been real all of my life. God has been active in my life. God has been involved in my life. And God is real. And according to the Hebrew writer says, the only way for us to find ourselves moving to the next level is to have belief in that God. Have faith in God. Out of time, but not out of word. I can't wait for us to get back tomorrow. I want you to have a wonderful Thanksgiving. But we're going to be talking tomorrow. I can't wait till then. Know that I love you. God bless.